بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. الأخوة والأخوات أعضاء مجلس سعود الجودة، ورحب فيكم جميعا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. We would like to hello everybody, and we would like to welcome all of you in our SQC quality webinar for the month of quality, November. The month of November, who is the month of quality worldwide, and also it's within our national 17th National Quality Week in Saudi Arabia. We are proud here in SQC that we introduced the National Quality Week in 2008, and it continued for the last 17 years. Every year we are introducing this week to promote quality in Saudi Arabia and spread this knowledge among the society and different sector in Saudi Arabia. And we are happy to have a lot of activities during this week. Really hundreds of organizations in Saudi Arabia, they are celebrating this week and this month, having webinars, workshops, competition in quality. They are making a lot of activities that we are helping also in SQC to promote this activities through our experts, SQC expert, quality expert, who they are spread now everywhere to provide this knowledge and provide these services to. This is all volunteers. Everything we are doing is volunteer work, and we are doing this as a part of our social responsibility. And we believe that spreading the quality of mission of quality in the society is very important to our quality of life. It's very important to the economy of our country. It is very important to achieve the vision 2030 of our country, Saudi Arabia. Before I introduce our speaker and expert today, I just have some few slides to share with you. I will say it in Arabic now. احنا بنوفر ترجمة فورية إلى اللغة العربية للحابين يستفيدوا من الفاسيلتي ويحضروا محاضرة ويسمعوا باللغة العربية. فالخطوات والإجراءات قدامكم واضحة. تدخلوا على النقاط الثلاث تحت ويجيك الاختيار اللي هو الكرة الأرضية اللي هو الترجمة language interpretation، وبعدين تختار اللغة العربية وتختار دن فوق عشان يعطيك الأوكي، ويصير خلاص تقدر تسمع المترجم. عندنا معنا المترجم زميلنا وخبير الجودة والمترجم المحترف المهندس نبال أنعيم، اللي دائما حقيقة يتحفنا بالترجمات الرائعة خلال الفعاليات المجلس اللي يكون فيها متحدثين باللغة الإنجليزية. بعد ذلك next كذلك الراغبين في الحصول would like to have the attendance certificate of this seminar or this webinar, you can just go through this barcode, and this is the link to get the certificate from Saudi Quality Council. Of course, as I said, we are part. This activity came part of our 17th National Quality Week under the theme. We develop the theme. The week is starting from 3rd November, yesterday, till 7th November of Thursday. And as you see, the theme of the week is quality from standard compliance to business excellence, and we use something similar to the World Quality Week. Of course, tomorrow we will have a workshop also, electronic workshop with Dr. Hani Azzuddin Sayed from University of Najran, and it will speak about the smart ways or path to business excellence. So it will be at 4 o'clock tomorrow, from 4 to 7. People who want to register, they can go through our website or our and make the registration through the barcode there. We have also book discounts. All the books, SQC books, quality books in Arabic, we have offering 30% discount to all this books to our members and non-members as part of our celebration of the 17th National Quality Week. I would like to also remind about our upcoming big event that will take place on 30 November. It is in attendance in person, and it will be in Jeddah Hilton, and it's required a pre-registration. It's about quality and business excellence in the endowment sector. As you know, Saudi Quality Council, now from 10 years ago, we became a public endowment in order to ensure the sustainability of our society, as it's part of the topic of today. After this, this is also our customer satisfaction survey. Please, we encourage most of all of our members to join this survey and give us your feedback, because it's very important for SQC to improve its programs, activities, services, and give to the members the benefit they are deserving from joining our council. As you said, we are this month and also for our speaker, for the knowledge of our speaker and the rest of the attendees, we are celebrating this year 30 years, 30th anniversary of Saudi Quality Council. We started in April 1994, our first seminar here in Jeddah, and now for 30 years we are continuously promoting quality, non-stop activities, seminar, workshop, awards, translating of the books, annual seminars. This is the time frame of our journey. We made the timeline of this where you can see the big and the most important milestone and contribution of SQC during the last 30 years to the quality movement in Saudi Arabia. We have introduced a lot of national quality initiatives that we are proud. It contributes a lot to raise the awareness and the maturity of quality and business excellence among Saudi organization and Saudi society. And this is our newsletter, electronic newsletter, our magazine, electronic magazine. It's called Quality Horizon, Afaq al-Jawda. Please, you can see and get it free from our website and the corner of the magazine in our website. And it is in Arabic language, of course. And it is became like a knowledge source of quality in our society. Next. The Maktaba Shakhsiyya, we've introduced Willy and the rest of our colleagues. We have introduced a personal product from Saudi Quality Council. We called it the Personal Quality Library. We have 28 books. We have till now we have 34 books in our program completed. We are targeting 100 books by 2030 in Arabic language, in order to enrich our Arabic language with this resources of about quality and excellence and standard, about quality applications and etc. So we are providing all this facility. This is our Zairi, Prof. Muhammad Zairi, rahimahullah. We introduce a product, a special product. 10 of his books has been translated by and indeed we are translated 11 books, but 10 of books, they are in paperback. And we are providing this for the society in order to translate that books from English to Arabic. This is our program. We have activities on monthly basis, 3 to 4 activities, 5 activities sometimes, in order to promote quality. And we are also right now, we start preparing for our 2025 program. This is our, you can visit our electronic store, our Major Electronic, where you can get all the products and books and membership and certificate from this link. And this is our social media. We are available, and SQC is presented our presence in all this social media channels in order to facilitate and spread the knowledge of quality in the society and facilitate the communication with our members. Back to the slide number 1. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the speaker, our guest speaker, our international speaker from Belgium, Mr. Willy Vandenbrande. I hope I pronounce it well. He's a friend of mine, and we are colleagues in the IAQ. We are members of Academician of International Academy of Quality. I know Willy from the last 10 years maybe or more. Since I joined IQ, I joined IQ maybe 15 years ago, since 2008, I think, or 009. And Willy is really, I called him as a global or international advocate for the issue of sustainability and quality, and promoting quality management around the world. Willy is from Belgium, and he has working in this field for more than 35 years. And today he's focusing and spreading this knowledge. So we are sharing the same vision now with Willy, and this is really, we would like to thank Willy to sharing with us his expertise, his knowledge in this field of quality and sustainability, which is very a global important subject nowadays. And he's also active in spreading this knowledge through presentations, articles. Lately, I enjoyed really reading his article was cover page. The cover page story of the Quality Progress magazine of ASQ, American Society for Quality, جمعية الأمريكية للجودة, and it was about sustainability and quality. Willy holds a Six Sigma black belt certification from American Society of Quality, and he's also ASQ fellow, and he's was the winner of the Jack Lancaster Medal. Was awarded this medal for his outstanding contribution to the leadership and the outstanding leadership in the promoting quality worldwide. He's also, as I said, academician in IQ, and also he's the head, or you could say the president of the think tank group within IQ that looking after quality in plant earth concern, which is, of course, sustainability is in the heart. Also, I think it was not written here, but Willy also looking after, and he's, I think, the head or the administrator or the manager of the IQ Sustainability Global Sustainability Award, and I think maybe he can shed light on this during his presentation. With this, I would like to welcome Mr. Willy Vandenbrande to Saudi Arabia virtually. Welcome, and we are all looking forward to hear and learn from you virtually. Please, the floor is yours, Willy.
Thank you very much, Ayad. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me in this presentation. So the title is Making Sustainable Development Sustainable Through Holistic Quality Leadership. I'm very honored to have been asked by the Saudi Quality Council, and I have to say I'm very impressed about the things that Ayad just said about what the council is doing. So it's also a pleasure to contribute to this great work. I don't need to say much about this because Ayad said it all. I just want to point to my recent book, Reflections on Quality in 10.5 columns. And actually, some of the things I will say today, you will find also back in the book. Now, let's look at the content of the presentation. The title talks about holistic quality leadership. So I'll say a little bit about leadership, just a short introduction. I'll say a little bit about the state of Earth's biosphere, and that's basically the holistic part of it, and combine the two to holistic leadership. And of course, then look at how quality can contribute to this holistic leadership. And we'll end with some basic conclusions, wrapping up the entire content then. Now, leadership today is very much in focus. Actually, if you Google leadership, you get a big number of hits. Those of you who follow LinkedIn will also see that many articles mention leadership. But what I notice is that the focus in leadership is very often on the leader, this one person, very often really the leader, the one person. And that's not exactly my view on leadership. I'll come to that in a second. But by focusing too much on the leader, I think we get a little bit of distorted view on how organizations work. Organizations and the success of organizations is defined by a whole group of people, not just by a leader. And, in Belgium, we have a business magazine and they organize a Manager of the Year award, which is very much putting, the CEO in this case in the spotlight, which is not necessarily bad. But what has happened over the years is that, somebody was appointed Manager of the Year, and the year after, the company went bankrupt, or the year after, he was fired. A couple of times, the year after, they were brought to court for fraud. So at some point in time, people hoped not to be mentioned Manager of the Year. I just want to point out that a company is much more than just one leader. And also, if you look through history, strong leaders have not always brought good things to the world. So when I talk about leadership and holistic leadership and holistic quality leadership, I'm more talking about a thought leadership, more a movement of a large group of people towards a common goal for the good of everybody, a sort of a new thought paradigm. What I use a lot is quality for all life as an expression of holistic leadership. So keep that in mind. It's about a way of thinking, a way of looking at the world, not just about one person. Okay? And to illustrate that, there's something like, something you hear a lot is we need to go into space. Some people say we need to colonize Mars and the likes. Now, this may be true, but when people say we need to go into space, I always wonder, where do they think we are? Of course, we are in space. We are part of space. We're on a spaceship. And the spaceship we're on is called Earth. Typically, it's called planet Earth. Actually, the term spaceship Earth has been developed by Buckminster Fuller many years ago. Now, our spaceship is a very important one because its biosphere contains all known life in the universe. Now, this is a very, very small volume, but it contains all known life in a very, very big universe. That life is protected by a thin blue line, the atmosphere, which means it's extremely vulnerable and needs to be taken care of. And there's one person who went into space and who wrote a book about it, and that's Nicole Stott. She was an astronaut for NASA and went up to the International Space Station a couple of times. She wrote a book, Back to Earth, but the critical sentence is the subtitle, What Life in Space Taught Me About Our Home Planet and Our Mission to Protect It. Because she saw how vulnerable planet Earth was if you look at it from space in that really vast universe that does not contain much life as we know it. So, if it's extremely vulnerable and it needs to be taken care of, how are we doing? Well, not very well. And that's probably an understatement. This is a graph, you find the references on the slide, of the 2023 status in relation to planetary boundaries. This is a system that has been developed by the Stockholm Resilience Institute. And the observation is that 6 of the 9 boundaries are crossed, and some are really crashed. We're way out. If you compare it with a part, you could say we are way out of tolerance. One of them is biosphere integrity. So we're not taking good care of it. Now, this may look a bit artificial if you're not familiar with the terms, but consider the following. You're the quality manager, and production tells you we have a couple of containers of parts ready to ship to the customer. Unfortunately, 6 of the 9 critical dimensions are out of spec. Would you ship these parts to the customer? And that's the status we are in. Okay, so we're not taking good care of it, and you also see that in other data. I'm not going to go deep into this, but if you look at the Sustainable Development Goal World Overall Score Evolution, it goes up, but if you put it in a percentage scale from 0 to 100, you see it goes very, very slowly, snail-like. Another thing goes fast, the temperature difference with pre-industrial times and global warming, with more and more consequences being seen now almost every month, every week, every day. So it's clear that we need to do more. And one person who saw that early on is a person you wouldn't expect to talk about this, and that is Mr. John Elkington. Now, I have noticed that not many people know John Elkington, but almost everybody knows his model. He called it the triple bottom line model, but it's of course much better known as the triple P model: people, planet, profit. Many companies, even today, use it, or at least refer to it when they talk about sustainability. We think about people, planet, and profit. Now, this John Elkington launched this model in 1994, but in 2018, he recalled it. He said, it is not working. I am recalling my own model. Very few people do that. Admit that what they have developed is not working well enough. Now, why did he do that? He did that for a couple of reasons. And the first one he mentioned was it's been used as a trade-off, as a balancing. And we can't do that. What does he mean by that? You could say, compared to the previous period, people are the same, profit plus 20, nature, planet minus 10. So if I add that together, I still have plus 10. So I am now more sustainable than before. That is not the case. You cannot trade off. Okay. He also noticed that way too much attention went to reporting and not enough to action. Okay. And his conclusion was the single bottom line paradigm still rules. So my model that was aimed at changing this did not work. But he had one great sentence at the end of his this was not a presentation, it was an article in the Harvard Business Review of June 2018. And it was sort of an article interview. He used this sentence. He said, it was not intended to become best in the world, but to become best for the world. Now, there's only one who can be best. So if I talk about holistic quality leadership, I think this is the challenge. How can we be good in the world, because we need a profit to continue to exist, but also be good for the world? And that's the key message of my presentation here. We need to learn to combine being good in the world with being good for the world, and not trading one for the other. because that will not work. The first thing I think that is needed, and I know that this is a controversial statement, but the first thing I think that is needed is a new definition of sustainable development. This is the current definition of sustainable development by the renowned Willy Vandenbrande Commission, 1987. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Now, this definition has two problems. First of all, when it talks about present generation and future generations, it only talks about one species, ours. So if our needs are being met and the needs of our future generations are being met, we are being sustainable. In other words, we could be called sustainable even when we destroy other species, which is actually going on today. That's not correct. The second thing is these needs can be infinite. If we don't put any limit on what needs can be, it will never work. Personally, I think we need a different definition that is not people-centric, that anthropocentric, and that talks about all species. That's why in my book, I proposed an alternative. Sustainable development means that the present generation takes the necessary actions to pass on our unique biosphere to the next generation in a better state than it was received, and so on. In short, quality for all life, not just Homo sapiens. And we need to safeguard our biosphere, as already indicated with the planetary boundaries. Now, I know when you look at a slide like that, on the one hand, you have the Willy Vandenbrande Commission, and on the other hand, you have just Willy. But I do think we need to rethink this definition. When we do that, we can start thinking about holistic quality leadership. And what would that be? What would that contain? Well, the first thing is an understanding, a realization that reducing harm is not good enough anymore. It may have been good enough if we would have started it 40 years ago. Today, we need to accept that we will have to restore things. We've destroyed too much of the biosphere of ecosystems. We will have to go beyond that, which is a difficult task. The second thing is that we need to start seeing Earth's biosphere as a shareholder. That's critical. So that with every decision we take into account the effect on Earth's biosphere. Third thing is we need to think longer term, in generational time frames. We do things that seem good and that seem like good solutions, but in the longer term create new problems, sometimes problems that are bigger than the ones that we have solved. We need to think further ahead. And that means we need to aim for quality over quantity. I will come back to that in the conclusions of my presentation, because I think from a point of view of new paradigms, this is going to be one of the most tricky ones, most difficult ones, together with this one. We need to start focusing on adapting to nature. Today, I think that most of what we call progress has been achieved by adapting nature. And adapting is a nice word for destroying. But we have been adapting nature. Nature is hitting us back today. So we will need to learn to adapt to nature and to think about quality over quantity. That are the difficult things. I'll give an example, but I'll quickly go over this. On energy, you can find the details of that in this book, Energy and Human Ambitions on a Thinner Planet, by Professor Tom Murphy. It's basically a scores, but it shows you how we need to think about limitation of needs. A couple of basic statements. All energy ends as warmth. That's the second law of thermodynamics. So that's very simple. We all know that for a long time already. The world energy consumption increases roughly by 2.3% per year, which means about tenfold per century. And you know, why is this happening? Because apparently we need an increase of so much percent energy to continue the way we think and work and our economic system. But that has a consequence in the very long term, because apart from the solar energy we get, if we create more warmth, the balance Earth's surface temperature will rise. And actually, it's a simple calculation, but Tom Murphy calculates that in about 400 years, the surface temperature of the Earth will be 100 degrees. So we will be boiling. This is totally independent of greenhouse gases, CO2 or whatever. It's pure if we keep on creating, using more energy, ending up in warmth. So fundamentally, that has a couple of consequences. We should not only focus on reducing greenhouse gas exhaust, and we should not only focus on replacing forms of energy, because the physical processes described by Tom Murphy will happen regardless of the form of energy. It all ends up in warmth in the end. So we need to think about reducing energy consumption. In an organization, you could think about reducing energy consumption per unit produced. This could be a very nice KPI linking sustainability to company success, because if you use less energy, or if you use less water, or if you use less raw material, it'll also be profitable. Look for low-tech, low-energy solutions. If you look at this from an example point of view, there's some good examples, like planting trees open up waterways in cities to keep them cool. Other possibilities: invest in car sharing, public transportation, cycle and pedestrian paths. Maybe make nice cycle and pedestrian paths and have trees alongside them, so it's cool to cycle or to walk. Less good examples are things like, and this is something that is happening in the European Alps, solving the lack of snow in ski areas with snow cannons, because there the cause is even multiplied. These snow cannons require large amounts of water, large amounts of energy. Purely replace fossil fuel cars with electric cars. In cities, it might be a better idea to replace cars altogether by bikes, for instance. A current technology that is very successful, very much wanted, is artificial intelligence. But the energy consequences of this are large, and we are not thinking enough about that. Okay, it's again long-term thinking that we still seem to forget. Now, why am I telling all of this to a quality audience? Because quality can have a serious impact, both strategically and operationally. Strategically, actually, we have some tools that are there, and maybe we want to think about them. And I'm referring here to the basic of basics, or ISO 9001 2015 standard, where we have something like context of the organization and understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. If you add future generation and Earth's biosphere to your interested parties, which I think they are, you would already be able to make major steps. See Earth's biosphere as a shareholder. And note that ISO themselves are already moving in that direction with the recent amendment on climate change that they added. You know, What are the needs and expectations regarding climate change of your customers, for instance? So that's an area where you can work on. And a second area, also ISO 9001, and also more strategically, is risk-based thinking and actions to address risks and opportunities. Today, we shouldn't underestimate the environmental risks that are hitting us. One thing, and I'll come back to it a little later as well, is water. And what we see today is that water is causing a problem because there's not enough drought. And water is causing a problem because there's too much flooding. And actually, both things happening in the same place, sometimes at different points in time. Okay. And one other thing I want to point out are the opportunities of being sustainable. Very often, people look at sustainability and see it as a burden and a cost, but that's not the case. And in fact, if we look at the quality impact operationally that we have on sustainability, that is big, and it can be bigger immediately because you see we have the tools. What's quality about? It's about improvement. And if you think about Lean Six Sigma, Plan, Do, Check, Act, root cause analysis, all these tools that we can use to run projects of improvement with, they can work on sustainability issues. And in fact, very often they do. Any project that looks at, I already mentioned that, reducing water consumption, reducing energy consumption. Think about lean, eliminate waste. That is financially interesting, and it has an immediate effect on sustainability. So we need to look at combining, integrating, and using quality tools for a better society, expand the reach of our knowledge, and think about societal quality. So coming to this applying of quality tools for sustainability, and Ayet already mentioned that in his introduction. Within IAQ, we created the Quality Sustainability Award. I'll give a little introduction. The idea is that we invite companies that ran improvement projects using quality methodology with sustainability results to participate in the award. And it's sort of the proof that what I was just saying is actually working, because we have seen over the last 4 years some 200 project teams that have applied, giving us all sorts of examples of how applying quality methodology can lead to sustainability results. And in fact, for 2024, we'll have a final session on December 9. This is an online session that can be followed by anyone. So info will follow, and I'll make sure that Ayet is informed. So all Saudi Quality Council members are invited to join that session and to see projects from all over the world showing how quality can lead to sustainability results. I talked about integrating and adapting and expanding. This is an example from actually, I think not last year, but the year before, one of the award winners. It's a Portuguese company. And what they did was introducing green data, adding green data to a value stream map, which is just an example of how you can use existing tools, and by just adding small things, you can make them valuable for sustainability projects. We gather data on throughput, number of people, cost. While you're doing that, you might as well gather data on how much water is this consuming, how much energy is this consuming, and using that, you can come up with good improvement projects, giving, as said, financial results and sustainability results. Now, one area where I think extra effort is needed is new offerings, and that means design and development. New things that we put on the market, and we have to make sure that these are much more sustainable than what is out there today. That means that we need to think about functional thinking. You know, a customer has a problem, needs a certain function fulfilled. That function may be a product, but not necessarily. So maybe we don't need a product. Maybe we can solve it through software or something like that. Promote circularity in design, but also in production. I'll refer to water again. But if you have a company and your company uses a lot of water, look at ways to turn that into a closed system by cleaning, etc. That's going to be very important. That's going to bring a lot of money, because there's one thing I want to add as well when I talk about the future. Anything that is seen as simple and abundant today, like water, will be expensive in the future. You need to take that into account, water, energy, and the like. So whatever you do in saving today will also avoid big costs tomorrow. Add Earth's biosphere to your risk analysis, so that if you release a new product, the harm is minimized or even turned around. You know, we look at cars and we think, how can we make them less polluting? But maybe we can create a car that, while driving, is cleaning the air. Doesn't have to be negative. It could be an opportunity as well. Life cycle thinking in the entire value chain. Design for minimum energy consumption, not just in use, but also in production, so that we can make it with a minimum of energy, water, raw material. That's energy is here just an example. And think about this. When I launch a product, what if 1 billion people start using it? It's a big planet, okay? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of consumers out there. What would the consequences be? And I think with artificial intelligence as an example, we should have thought about this better before it was launched so big. And now it is used for even the simplest of searches, but it consumes 10 to 25 times more energy than just a normal Google search. So we need to think about these things much better. Okay. In essence, it means that I think in the long term, we need to go from a quantity-driven world to a quality-driven world. We need to replace quantitative goals by qualitative goals. Well-being over having a lot of money. We will need to measure our impact. Definitely, we're already doing that more and more, but it's necessary. But you'd also have to look at how you are impacted, and both are linked. If we can reduce our impact, if we can adapt to nature, the negative impact of changes in nature on ourselves will be lower. And an important thing to me, I think one of the problems I'm having with evolutions today is that there is a lot of reporting. It's also what John Elkington said. There's a lot of reporting. That's nice, but action and improvement is better. And in essence, I would say from a general economic point of view, more or less is irrelevant. Only better defines progress. You know, for some things, more will be needed in some places in the world, and less would be better in other places in the world. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. And it's about quality of all life, which is the essence of sustainability. Now, when I talk about this to audience, and I talk about this a lot to audiences all over the world, one of the things that very often comes up is that people say yes, but the biggest problem is overpopulation. And there's a term used, you know, there's breeding like rabbits. I sometimes actually bring my rabbit to presentations. Here you are. Now, you should never compare people to any animal, even nice fluffy things like rabbits. But the point is that that is not the key issue. The key issue does not lie with the number of people, but with the consumption pattern of a limited part of these people. The key issue lies in not limiting the needs and in creating new artificial needs. Now, I'm showing this car, and to me, this is a proof that rich people don't necessarily have good taste, but of course you can discuss about taste. However, these cars are not a sustainable future, full stop. No matter what their energy source is, we need to get rid of that. We need to understand that the problem lies in overconsumption. And this is the book talking about that, Consuming Like Rabbits. It's in Dutch, but it's the result of a doctoral study that clearly shows that our biggest problem does not lie in number of people. It lies in what people consume and in overconsumption. And that is a direct link to, it's not about quantity, it's about quality of life. Do we get better? And does the planet get better by driving cars like that? And with that, I want to thank you very, very much for your kind attention. I want to thank Ayat again for the invitation, and we have some time now for Q&A, I think. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you very much, Willy. Very interesting presentation, as usual. I used to hear from you before, but our audience of Saudi Arabia, our colleagues, our members today, and I think you address a very important subject, very important issue. Most of the people who are attending with you now, they are either quality managers or quality and the quality society within Saudi Arabia, and all the messages that you have sent through your presentation, I think it's very, very important to all of us. And I think briefly, you are saying for us, quality is in the heart of this issue. We can do something in as a quality professional, quality managers, as quality leaders. We can do a lot to really improve the situation and help our earth and our societies, our globe through this your new definition of sustainable development. You are putting really quality. Continuous improvement is part of your new definition, which is very important. We used to take that definition that we have to save, maintain, consume, but please consider the next generation. Now you are saying no, you have to work and make it better, use all these quality tools and techniques and approaches to make it better and improve the current situation and submit, keep to the next generation also something better. One joke I want to make about your slide, about your diagram, table of the increase of temperature in the earth. So I want to give warning to our SQC members that the 117th SQC National Quality Week will be very hot. So the temperature will be over 140, and just imagine. It's really a warning, and it's a global warning, global threat, and we should all believe in. The last comments I have, then I will go for the questions. I think you add a very important thing that first time I heard about it, that add Earth biosphere to your risk analysis. This is, most, I can't say that 90% of the organization, or maybe 100% of organizations that I have known, nobody put that into consideration when they make their risk analysis index or risk as project, or when they made their strategy for their risk assessment. So I think this is a very important message to all of us. I would like to mention that our country, Saudi Arabia, our kingdom, Saudi Arabia, leading a very important and big initiative here in the region. It's called Middle East Green Middle East Initiative, and we are developing our own national Green Saudi. It's called Kingdom or Saudi Arabia Green Saudi Arabia Initiative for 2030. We are targeting to plant a big number of trees just to really solve this part of this problem. Our economy, also, our country also taking care about circular economy. It's start part of the government agenda now, and they are taking care of this. Our country has also commitment, formal commitment to the reducing the CO2 emission, and we have a deadline for that within our vision, government vision. We'll go for also the award. I promise you, yes, we will promote the Quality Sustainability Award because we believe it's very important to encourage and encourage a Saudi organization to promote, maybe, and also maybe Willy, maybe in the next near future, we can have a special session with you about the award itself.
Obviously, that's always possible.
So we can introduce it to the Saudi organizations, companies, more and more, because we are, as you see, promoting it through the what we receive from IQ. I just promoted circle. But I think maybe we could have you as you are in charge of the award to be have a webinar where we can address this in a specific detail. Thank you, Willy. One of the questions we receive now from Hajar Abdul Wahid, and also I have a few questions here. She said how we can avoid or reducing impact of any breakdown may happen in the future in technology. We are using every day, even in finance and manufacturing and communication and in industry sectors. And we must believe, in fact, if we will be retaining to the natural life, which was without technology. Maybe is that clear, the points for you?
Yeah. This is, of course, there's a big belief in the fact that technology will solve all problems. That's I think there's a big belief in that, and I think technology can play a part, but at the same time we need to realize that technology also creates problems. So I think we need to create a more balanced view on mixing, I think, the advantages of technology that are there, but looking also at the more negative consequences. And I think it should be embedded in what you could call a sort of quality economics, which is not just, as I said, which is not a quantity economics, but really a quality how can we make life better? And that's not necessarily with more. And what role can technology play in making life better for all life? It lies a little bit in the word holistic, because you can have a technology approach, you can have a nature approach, you can have different viewpoints, but what we need is one that sort of incorporates these things and looks at how can we make them work together for a better life. But it is, it is a difficult issue because, of course, technology has done a lot for us. That's clear. It's not about anti-technology. It's about how can we... I'll give the example of artificial intelligence. I mentioned it a couple of times with the energy consumption of it, but I also see, bringing it back to companies, companies very often invest a lot of money in digitization. But very often, they just digitize, whereas the first question should be, why do we do that? And where should we use it best? That's where quality can play an important part. What do we very often just implement a digital system thinking that will solve the problem. We need to think more about the why and the what before we go to the how. You see, IT people will know how to do it, but it is leadership and probably also quality leadership that needs to define why do we want it, where do we want it, and what should it do. And I guess the same is at a societal level. You know, hey, we have AI, let's use it for everything. No. Why, where, what, and then apply it.
Of course. Great. Thank you, Willy. Yes, clear. We have maybe I have a question about circular economy. If you can just shed light just in 2 minutes about for us as a quality managers or quality professional, where is our position of this economy?
Well, I think if you think about circular economy, there's obviously a big task in engineering, development of new products, designing new products. I think it's one of the key issues because the design will define most of it. Because 80% of a product is defined by design, the cost, the sustainability, everything, the recyclability also. And I think purely from a point of view of quality, I think quality should be more involved in design, because I still think if you look at a classical company with a design department, production, and so on, and you look at quality, the design defines 80% of what a product will do in its lifetime. But I think if you would look at the attention of quality, quality probably still has 80% of its attention in the production area. And I think we should shift that a little bit. There should be more focus on design quality, and including to that design recyclability and the likes, circularity. But the second aspect, and I think that is not yet enough thought about, is when I talked about double circularity. The way you produce things, look at waste flows. But when we look at waste flows, we very often look at product waste flows, like scrap and loss of raw materials. But loss of water is also a waste flow. Loss of energy is a waste flow. If we don't use that, if you don't lose that, especially water, for instance, we can make it more circular. And it's something that I think quality professionals, with all our tools that we have on reducing waste, should also focus interest on. What sort of waste do we have, not of the basic product, but of all these issues, all these products and flows that are needed to keep production going. So it's this sort of double circular thinking.
Okay, great. Then this is a new concept that we should reconsider, which is the double circular thinking, which is taking care of the future more and more. There is a question, it's like a comments from our colleague Abdul Aziz Siddiqui. He's mentioning about that and the quality from the concept of sustainable development is we have to achieve the sustainability, taking in consideration the stakeholders, yani requirement, and but I don't know, yani he has a point that but not the perfection, or I mean zero defect or quality concept. Quality aims to reduce all mistakes or defects in our processes or our productions or products. He said if there is any thoughts about that. Is that, are you agree with that, or do you think?
Well, yeah, well, quality in essence is about improvement, as you also mentioned, Ayat. So that will mean look for less mistakes and so on. But I also think quality should be seen wider and specifically more from a point of view, the impact of my organization, whatever it is you are doing, on the outside world. A sort of a societal thinking in quality. And I don't know if I'm answering the question correctly now, but I think it's sort of thinking wide, thinking beyond the contours of our organization. What could quality mean? And I think, you mentioned, Ayat, that the Saudi Quality Council is run by volunteers. It's volunteer work, which is very important. It's the same with IAQ, which is also a volunteer organization. And I think that it would be nice if quality specialists, people with knowledge on quality, would also get involved in, I don't know, local community development or something like that. I'll give an example of my town, Bruges. We have an Bruges, well, I'll try to translate it, so the Bruges for tomorrow. And it's about reducing climate impact. It's about other ways of working and of it. So it's a very nice scheme. And I got interested in it. And now each time they meet, I'm part of that meeting and I can bring a sort of the view from quality. How can that help in strengthening the actions that are being foreseen? And that's obviously also volunteer work, of course. So it would be nice. We sometimes underestimate the value of our knowledge and what our knowledge could do beyond the walls of our organization.
Right. Excellent. Thank you, Willy. Clear and good initiative in your city, and hopefully we can promote similar in our city here. There is a comment of one of our attendees. He didn't mention the name, but he said, it needs all efforts internationally, not only one team or city or country. It's a globally needed.
Yes.
And of course, we both agree with that, Willy. You totally agree with that. And that's maybe in the heart of your presentation. What do you think about what is going on in the zoo fires, and I mean the forest fires, the conflicts that the world have today, and that's really will be controlled globally to minimize the consumption and the effect on consumption in general, and
Yeah.
quantity, of course. Of course, this is a global issue. Just our colleague is sharing with us, but if you have any thought about it, also great.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the consequences are being felt globally. So basically, nobody can say it hasn't got anything to do with us. If you see what happened in Spain, Eastern Europe, Canada with the fires, Australia. I mean, it's the tornadoes in Florida. So everybody is affected. And I think, but I'm probably a bit naive in this. But if it's a global problem, it will require global cooperation to do something about it. And the negative of today's evolutions are that it's the way we are going is more about global competition than cooperation. And that's a pity. I think we need each other. So the focus should be much more on working together rather than competing against each other.
You're right.
And I very much regret the language that is very often being used by top leaders, whether it's European, Chinese, American, or others. We have to stop talking in these very aggressive, competitive way, because if we don't work together, we will all suffer.
Of course, I agree with that totally.
So yes, it's a correct comment, and it's not an easy one to solve, of course. But it's a lot about mindset.
Mindset.
You know, it's not about knowledge or technology. It's about mindset, about choices, and the right choices. And we'll have to go along the same lines, because otherwise it won't work for anybody.
Of course, it will affect everybody, and everybody will be affected. It's our earth, and we have to maintain it and protect it. There is a question from Mr. Ibrahim Mahnashi. Where does Quality 4.0 stand in this context?
Yeah, Quality 4.0 is a term that, of course, it's been very familiar, right? It's still very unclear what is exactly meant by it. It sounds nice, of course. It's obviously adapted from manufacturing 4.0. It's focusing a lot on technology. So it's putting the role of technology high up, and I think technology, again, as said, technology can do a lot, but it is very much on the means, how to do things. Yeah, and I think if we want to use it efficiently, what I said before, from a quality point of view, we need to think about the why, the strategy, the what, where can we use it to the best possible, and then implement the technology. I think we need to understand, and I think there's some misunderstanding about that, but if you look at all this digital technology, big data analysis, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning, none of that has been developed by quality. None of that will be further developed by quality. It's not our field of knowledge. So we will not be the people that develop that digital technology, but we can be the people that look within organizations, within society, how can this digital technology be used for the best results for our organization and for society at large? And I think that is our task. And I think we focus too much on the technology because that's not our main business, so to say. That's not our main knowledge field. We need to know what can this do, and then look at how can it be applied within our organization for the best of the organization. That's our contribution. The IT will do the implementation then. But we need to make sure we get it in the right order. Because if IT dominates, it'll be a lot of investment in IT. And I know after 5 years, people will say, now we spent so much money on this, what has it brought us? And we should think up front, what can it bring us? And then invest where it can bring us most.
Okay, I want to remind my attendees here, colleagues, about the appraisal, or we made تقييم اللي هو assessment or appraisal for the meeting or for the webinar. It will show up for you during so you can please help us and give us your feedback about this presentation. There is another question from my side, Willy, about you mentioned and you highlighted on ISO 9001 and its positive contribution to the issue of sustainability. And what about other? I think we have to remind ourselves that there is other ISO standard basket of ISO standard that look after these issues, like the ISO 14001, and there are some special ISO standard about sustainability, right?
Yes, there are a lot of ISO standards. In fact, next week on November 12th, I will be speaking for CQI in the World Quality Week of CQI on performance and compliance. There is, I think personally today, an overload of standards and systems, because there are some ISO standards. There's an ISO guideline now on the ISO standard on corporate responsibility. There's a lot of private but also governmental things like B Corps, GRI, science-based targets. There's now EU law, the Corporate Sustainability Development Directive. I think that there's a danger of over-standardization, which will mean specifically for smaller and medium-sized companies that they really haven't got a clue anymore what to do because of too many systems, too many standards, all claiming to do something about sustainability. And you know, I mentioned, one of the things I mentioned is that there's a very high focus on reporting. And all of these systems also focus a lot on reporting. But of course, I mean, reports are nice, but they don't change situations. So we need actions. And I'm a little bit afraid that, you know, energy is always limited. All the energy that goes to making a report is no longer available to do actions. And we need more energy for the actions. Improvement is too slow. So I worry a little bit about that. Next, well, as I said, people that follow the CQI will hear a little bit more about that next week. I'm also working on a presentation for the World Conference on Quality and Improvement in the USA of ASQ, where I will be talking about what can you do about sustainability just by implementing things within your ISO 9001 system without adding more standards and more certifications and more audits. Because if you care about sustainability, if you care about the environment, there's a lot you can do without having to go through all of these different things. So they're interesting documents, but I'm a little bit afraid that we're confronted with an overload today.
Yeah, great. We respect this point of view, and I think we could make a balance. Maybe, of course, the core of this is, and the heart of this is the ISO 9001, as you mentioned, which is the platform for any quality system, management system in any organization. But I believe taking consideration of other ISOs that relevant to your industry, relevant to your business, it will add on. It will add on. It will be a plus to your efforts, and efforts to move forward and improve the issue. The last question, and we might close after this. And your advice as an expert in this field to our quality managers in Saudi Arabia, from where they should start in order to embark on the journey to make quality help to improve the sustainability in our country or our world.
Yeah, I think basically two things. The first one, I think the easiest one, is most quality managers are also running improvement projects. Think about in selecting projects, add sustainability issues. So think about water consumption, energy consumption. I showed the example of the Portuguese company where they did a value stream map and they added green data. That could be a good starting point. So that automatically you see where are the biggest potential improvements we can make on sustainability issues. That's the first thing. The second thing is try use that to show that sustainability and profitability are not contradictory, that they can go together, and in that way lift it also to a more strategical level. So that quality becomes a driver for strategy, for strategic changes towards sustainability. And I think these are the two things that I would advise to look at. Thank you
for the advice. And maybe, Willy, it's good as outcome of this presentation, this excellent webinar. As you know, I made in my introduction, we have a program, SQC Quality Book Series program. Maybe I'm looking forward to have a more discussion with you in the near future with my team to translate your book to Arabic language. So people can share. So we can have it in our agenda together in the future agenda. We will be glad to have that knowledge to the Arabic language so people can benefit a lot of this.
That would be great.
Excellent.
Looking forward to that.
This is just something to offer you virtually. It's our certificate of appreciation. And thank you. Big thank you from Saudi Quality Council to you, Willy, for this fruitful and informative presentation we had together today. We learned a lot, and I think it was brought in an issue that concerns all of us. As you said, thank you on behalf of all our SQC colleagues and members, and hopefully we can see you in person in Saudi Arabia in the near future. And we will be very glad to have you as a guest to our country here, Saudi Arabia, and enjoy our country, and also learning from you and from your. And I would like to end with the beautiful statement that you mentioned about that holistic quality leadership challenge is to be good in the world and good for the world. And that's really a good message we received today from you. Be best, not best in the world, but best for the world. And this is really I think the very, very important point that we should all consider in our quality practices, quality projects, quality initiatives within our organization everywhere. Thank you, William, again, and hopefully to see you in the near future.
Okay. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.